Thank you, Ms. Speaker and members of the House. I hope everyone focuses on this bill because I think it's extremely an important issue. In 2008, the legislature, those of you who were here then, passed overwhelmingly the 2008 Voter Confidence Act. And that act did many things, and many people worked hard on that because I think we all heard from across this state people concerned about how elections are conducted. They want to make sure, because of the controversies in other states, because of the controversies that have really covered all regions of this nation as far as how elections are conducted, people in Tennessee are no different, I think, than anywhere else. They want to know that their vote is counted and that it's counted correctly. As a result of that public concern in this state, the 2008 Voter Confidence Act was passed. I checked the other day. I think it had 95 votes to the affirmative. That bill did many things. One of the things it did is mandated that by the 2010 elections, we would have optical scanning equipment. We have $25 million that's housed in accounts in the Secretary of State's office. That money can only be used for the purchase of voting machines. I think that the reason why we voted for this bill that included that provision that we would use optical scanners, because the scanners have proven, not just in Tennessee, but in more than 30 other states, that citizens' votes can be verified because there's a paper trail. We have a couple of counties already in this state, Hamilton and at least one other, that are using optical scanners now. And this bill mandated that we have those scanners in place for the 2010 election. Now, the bill contained a provision and said the scanners had to meet a 2005 standard. And that is the basis for this bill that is before you. Proponents of it, all of which I respect tremendously, say we need the newest technology. We need to buy voting equipment that is of the latest technology and meets the highest standards. The problem is there are no optical scanners anywhere that meet the 2005 standard that was established by the federal agency that was created in order to try to bring some consistency and make sure that there's accuracy in the conduction of elections in our country. Now, we have two options. We can do what the sponsors of this bill want to do and delay implementation of the law that we passed in 2008. During the consideration of what to do, it seemed to me very apparent we could amend the bill, which my amendment does, and move to the 2002 standard that is being used in more than 30 states. I learned today there's 2 other states that are in the dilemma that we're in, where our legislation specifically identifies a 2005 standard, where there is no voting machine that is in existence today that meets the 2005 standard. Furthermore, there is no application even pending for an optical scanner that meets that 2005 standard, and I've been told that it could take 18 months in order for a machine to be approved by to meet those standards. So, ladies and gentlemen, the issue before us tonight is very clear. Are we ever going to have optical scanners in the state of Tennessee? Are we ever going to have elections where there's a paper trail? are we ever going to have a system where people can feel good that their vote was counted and it was counted properly. This amendment adopts the 2002 standard. We can get the machines, we can have them in place in 8 months. The new coordinator of elections that was appointed in January of this year conducted a survey of some registrars, and the feedback, the question was asked, how much would it cost you to implement elections using an optical scanner? And it was really amazing the kind of information we got back about cost, when in fact all the coordinator of elections had to do is look at states that have made this transition. Our state next to us, North Carolina, actually saved $1.86 per vote because they moved to the optical scanner that meets the 2002 standard. You know how they made the savings? Very simple. You don't have to have as many voting machines because the optical scanners are much more efficient as far as moving people through. You don't have as much transportation cost because you're not transporting as many machines. In addition to that, you don't have the expensive computer programming costs that you have with the machines we have in place now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's vote's going to be, I think, pretty simple. If you're content with the system that we have in place that was the subject of the 2008 Voter Confidence Act, if you're content with the system we have, knowing that it will not be replaced anytime in the near future because there's no machine that's going to be available. I guarantee you in 2011 we're going to come back here and this is going to be delayed again or repealed because there's not going to be a machine that meets the 2005 standard. And in my discussions, and I've talked frequently with the Election Assistance Commission personnel, they're telling me the standards differ very little in the technology between the 2002 standard, 2002 scanner, and the 2005. So if you want to keep the system we've got in place now, vote no on amendment number 3. But if you want to implement the provisions of the 2008 Voter Confidence Act and give Tennesseans the assurance that their vote is going to be counted and their vote is going to be counted accurately, then I would urge you to vote for amendment number 3, and I move its adoption.
Gentleman moves adoption of amendment number 3.